Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Thomas Spark. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about, which VPNs should you specifically use. This is going to be a top VPN list, but I'm specifically going to be giving VPNs for each type of user, which is pretty unique considering most other YouTube videos out there are just recommending you to buy VPNs based on the highest commissions, and they don't actually review VPNs. Now, why should you trust me in terms of this video? If we take a look at my website, VPNTierList.com, you can see that I've reviewed a lot of VPNs. However, this is only just in the last year or so. I've actually reviewed 70 plus VPNs. I just have removed some of the older reviews from the current tier list system. And I've even done written reviews on my top 3 recommended VPN options, which are extremely detailed, and you can check those out on VPNTierList.com for full detailed reviews as well as links to the videos. But guys, today we're focusing on a more approachable video, helping you decide which VPN out of my top 4 VPNs to choose. Now guys, if you want to help support this video and you want the best discounts and prices, you can find the links in the description down below. Most of those links will activate promo codes and discounts for you, anywhere from around 10 to 50% off. And I'll also put the promo codes in the description and pin comment too. Anyways guys, let's get into the video. So guys, number 1 is going to be my budget VPN pick, and that's going to be Torguard VPN. Now, Torguard VPN is a budget VPN pick for many reasons. Number 1 is it's just extremely cheap to use as a basic VPN service. If you don't need streaming compatibility, by far it's the cheapest VPN. By using promo code TomSpark2022, it's around $5 a month or $30 a year. If you buy it long term, it can be even cheaper. You could get it for around 3 years for as low as $70, I believe, which is extremely cheap and undercuts pretty much every single other VPN out there. An amazing deal. You could get 3 years of Torguard VPN's basic VPN package for cheaper than some other VPNs allow you to do so within a year. ExpressVPN, I believe, costs around $100 a year. So Torguard can get 3 years cheaper than ExpressVPN's 1-year package. That said, if you do need streaming compatibility, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to really recommend Torguard for streaming compatibility, although it certainly can work and isn't that expensive either. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be recommending some other options for streaming. Outside of that though, Torguard is a very well trusted VPN. It's court proven to not collect logs. It got kind of sued by this copyright detection company, and instead of giving away user logs or anything like that, it just decided to block US torrent traffic. Users in the US can still use Canadian or Mexico servers to get pretty good speed, so it's not a huge issue. But it does go to show that Torguard isn't going to give away user information, and it's one of the few VPNs to actually go through that process to prove that, which is a pretty good thing for people to trust it as an anonymous VPN provider. Torguard also has a good blend of speeds and servers for the price. It's got a pretty expanded server network for the size of VPN it is. I've never really heard anyone complain about speeds with this one, and there's only very specific countries where some other VPNs like NordVPN can beat it out, but they're very niche countries and very specific, and for most people, you're going to have a server close by and have no issues with speeds whatsoever. In fact, for me, specifically in Seattle and most of the places in the US, Torguard can't even beat out VPNs like NordVPN for speed. It could give me around 860 megabytes a second with my 1 gigabyte per second kind of download, so it's very fast. Now, what are some of the cons with Torguard VPN? Well, the streaming compatibility does require more setup, like I explained before, so it's not always my recommended option for people to use streaming with it. Additionally, switching servers on PC for some reason is a little sluggish. You have to disconnect, then reconnect to a different server, so it's a little bit unintuitive there. However, this isn't a problem on mobile at all, and you could connect and disconnect very quickly on mobile devices. It is based in the USA, which for some people is a con. However, for me, as proven before, they don't collect logs and didn't give it away to the court and they were sued, so it's kind of a moot point, but for some people, this still could be important. Additionally, it is a smaller development team, although they do take their time with things, so some brand new features like split tunneling have been on the roadmap for a while and still aren't released. That said, as a comprehensive app, they still are above most other VPNs out there just because they've put so much development in over the 10 years or so they've been in business. They have a Linux UI, port forwarding, and all those important things. So overall, this is an extremely powerful VPN. My top pick for the budget VPN, And let's move into the next one. Next up, we're going to be talking about WeVPN. Now, WeVPN would be like my best new VPN provider or community-led VPN provider. And why do I say that? Well, WeVPN has a great community. They have a Discord, and the developers and even founders themselves you can chat to. I've had the founder himself come into my Discord and chat with people and answer questions that quite honestly were kind of put in bad faith with a good attitude. So they have a super responsive CEO and team, and they just have that desire to really do well. Probably more than any other VPN on the tier list, they've responded to my critical feedback and made really good improvements. They've added port forwarding. They have cool features like Smart DNS, which lets you use stream compatibility in all sorts of devices. They have free data breach alert detection in their website panel, whereas other VPNs like Surfshark upcharge for it. They have free encrypted DNS that doesn't even require a subscription, which is cool. And overall, they have really good speeds, easy to use applications, and it's also probably the best price VPN in terms of an overall product. Like I said, Torguard is a budget VPN pick because you could get it for so cheap for the main package, but I believe that WeVPN aggregately has a better pricing kind of structure. That's because it includes stream compatibility and it also has a 30-day refund, whereas Torguard only has a 7-day refund policy. So in terms of points, WeVPN actually does better as a whole, even though it's a little bit more expensive because it doesn't include stream compatibility. It's a little bit under $10 a month and around $50 a year for the package, which is a pretty good price considering it's still cheaper than a lot of VPNs out there. In terms of cons, I would say that the VPN sometimes still has a little bit of minor bugs that the development team is still working out here and there. They do some updates and sometimes there is a little bit of issues I see reported. However, in my experience, the application is pretty flawless and it has been for around a year or so, and it works really well. They do have a little bit of a smaller server count than some other VPNs, but as a whole, most users should find servers in the countries that they need, especially in mainstream countries. For those in niche countries, maybe this one isn't the best pick alongside something like, well, I'll be talking about Hide.me next. But overall, I haven't really had any issues with speeds with this one, and most people I've seen haven't either. Sometimes it does take a little while to connect to some faraway countries for streaming, and I've noticed that in some past videos. Overall, the biggest con is probably that this is just a newer VPN, but that's also kind of one of its pros. It's been amazingly adaptable and responsive to improvements, and I think having a new VPN product kind of gives it that ability, but it also means it's not as time-tested as some other products out there and does need some more work in terms of just that reliability and consistency factor. However, I do believe that WeVPN probably has one of the biggest potentials for being the #1 VPN one day, since it still is a new VPN and is improving so quickly. That said, it's a good VPN. Next up, we could talk about Hide.me. Now, this one I would say is one of the best private VPNs for power users. It's very transparent and probably was the first VPN to actually have a public audit in 2015, which is very impressive. They proved they do not collect logs on their VPN services. They also do transparency reports, and the website itself has zero trackers on its website, and applications like Android, it also has zero trackers. So it's an amazingly private VPN. They've really done a good job there. The applications, especially on PC, are extremely powerful and customizable, pretty much along the same kind of capability as Torguard VPN, which is not easy to do. They've been in the business just as long as Torguard and have pretty much the same good track record. They also have power features like port forwarding, which is good for torrent users, so that's really nice. They're also based in Malaysia, which is kind of interesting, which could be good for privacy users looking for somewhere that's based outside of the United States or something like that. Now, in terms of cons, Hide.me is a little bit more expensive short term, but they've given our channel really good long-term deals, so overall it's not a bad price long term. One of the cons with Hide.me is I would say I don't get quite as good of speeds with it as some other VPNs, but I've noticed they've really trying to improve this lately. They don't have a Seattle server, which does impact my speeds, and I can still get around 500 megabits per second, but it's still a little bit slower for me than some other VPNs out there. They just need to kind of give more servers, and it will improve speeds from there, and I think it's something they're working on. Additionally, they are so strict in terms of privacy, which is one of the good things about them, but it does kind of prohibit them from having some add-ons like dedicated IPs or residential IPs, which can be useful, like we've seen with Torguard, to unblock things like Omegle and some other niche websites out there, which are really useful. More generally for people trying to block restrictions and not so much for privacy but Hide.me is so focused on privacy that they don't really want to add that as a thing, which is completely fine, and I respect that. So overall, it's one of the best VPNs for private users and people who want a really private VPN. Next up, we could talk about NordVPN, and this one I would say is the best noob or streaming VPN provider if you want a VPN that is just the biggest VPN, one of the easiest ones to use, and it has really good speeds worldwide. This could be a good pick. Now, NordVPN has really good streaming compatibility. In fact, I would probably pick it as my recommended VPN who just wants a power VPN for streaming compatibility. In my test, it really unblocked a lot of different regions of Netflix around the world, probably more so than any other VPN, and gave me the best speeds while doing it. They could use some kind of DNS or residential proxy network or something to achieve this, but the bottom line means is that you can unblock a lot of regions and get good speeds doing so. Like I said, they're also very extremely easy to use with tons of built-in tutorials and plugins, and a lot of work has been put into the application to make it as approachable as it could be for a VPN, and you could definitely see that in the application with built-in tutorials that pop up and stuff like that, making it very easy to get a hang of NordVPN, even though it's already easy to use anyways. It's also based in Panama, which means it's kind of an offshore location, which could mean it has an easier time to avoid controversy with law agencies. But now let's talk about some of the cons with NordVPN. Well, as a company itself, it is kind of more of a corporate company. It values, in my opinion, more like business, the business of a tech company and its marketing relationships than like true privacy goals. It has trackers on its website. It uses Google Analytics, and it has kind of that general vibe about it to be more of a tech company than like a privacy company. You know, if I looked at Hide.me, I would say it's primarily a privacy company. If I look at Torguard, I'd say it's primarily a privacy company trying to give its consumers the best privacy. And even with WeVPN 2, I would say that about them too. But with NordVPN, it's a little bit different. It feels almost more like a tech product and something like that than a true privacy product. And it kind of shows in terms of its overall, like I said, it has trackers and things like that and uses Google Analytics, where some of the other VPNs mentioned don't do that kind of stuff, especially Torguard and Hide.me. It's also a little bit slow to implement customer feedback, and it's never really listened to my feedback either. They just aren't really responsive to changing the vision of their product to some reviewer or any criticism out there. They've just never really implemented anything I've suggested, which definitely has hurt its score here on the channel. And overall, guys, those are my thoughts on the best VPNs for the specific type of user you are. Let me know which one you picked down in the comments down below. And if you want to help support the channel, use my links and discount codes in the description and pinned comment. I'll see you guys again very soon.